And so that's what we need to do. And now we would never teach a word that didn't have meaning to the child in their life. But with animals, they all love going to the zoo. So as long as they know what the animals are, that's why we start with images. And we put the images, for example, we put the images in their mind. Let's just say that my 1-year-old didn't know what sea turtle was. So when I show them the word the picture sea turtle, well, it goes in their mind. And now they have a visual vocabulary of sea turtle. And they know it by identification. They could identify a sea turtle. They learn these different pictures, and then we come back and we expose them to print, just as they were exposed to McDonald's, Walmart, whatever it is that they're reading in their neighborhood, just because it's there. But now we intentionally expose them to the written words. And so just as easily as the image went in their mind, just as easily as the spoken word went into their mind, the visual words go into their mind. And now there's other things you can do as a parent. You can add what I like to call mental superglue. And these are silly things, and we're in the comforts of our own home, and we can be silly there. And so, for example, with elephant, very early, I would imitate an elephant. And I'll give you my impersonation here.
Okay, it's on TV.
It's on TV.
Okay, go.
But I feel comfortable with you, Tony.
All right.
So here we go. Here's the elephant. Now, Tony looks at me like I'm crazy, but my children laugh when I do
absolutely.
that. And if you think about your own life, you remember the most emotional events. And that emotion, that joyful emotion, is what acts as mental superglue. So if we want to remember things or retain them better, we just add a little mental superglue. And you could be creative with this. We have different things for elephant. Tiger, we would do this. Or maybe tickle his, my son, he loves to, I tickle his stomach. Giraffe, maybe we make a giraffe. So anything. Dolphin, what does a dolphin sound like? So we could be creative and just anything that comes to our mind, and your children will come up with ways and ways to add that mental superglue. So that's really how simple it is just a matter of putting words that they know, that they have recognition of in their mind, and now we give them the opportunity to recognize those words visually. And what ends up happening, Tony, is they end up becoming fluent and comprehensive readers. Two of the major problems in our school system today, all those 8 million children that you talked about that could not read, two of the major problems for them are fluency and comprehension. Fluency meaning they don't read as smoothly as they can speak, as fluently as they can talk, and for that reason it also affects their comprehension. Now they struggle to understand what they're reading, and that's the purpose of reading, is to gain meaning.
Sure.
And so with this program we build in what's called automaticity, where they can just read and recognize words as you do and as I do and as adults do. When we read as adults, we read with that automatic recognition. When we come across a word that we don't know, well, we have some skills to decode those words.
Right.
But really, we read. If you think about when you read by sight.
Absolutely. Well, and you brought up a good point, because the question I was going to ask next was the difference between regurgitating words and comprehension. Because that would have been my next question is, okay, if my child can look and say, okay, that's a dolphin, and that's great. Later on in life, when they're looking at words, if they don't have this visual image, have we built enough of a foundation to increase their comprehension?
Well, let me ask you this. If I didn't show you this picture, do you have a visual image of a dolphin?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Why? Because it's where?
It's in my mind.
It's in your mind.
Right.
And it's in the mind of a child. And so when you put that in their mind, and then you connect a word to it, now we have a natural connection, a synapse takes place, and now we strengthen their understanding of what a dolphin is, of what a dolphin sounds like, of what a dolphin does, and the word dolphin itself.
Okay. So let's make this a lot more practical now. I mean, this is really good, but a lot of our audience right now didn't start when their baby was in the womb. Okay? So let's say, for example, someone who's watching right now has a 4-year-old child who's struggling with reading. Okay, maybe they're slipping behind. What practical things can they do this week that will get their child jump-started into being more comprehensive, more fluent? What types of things can we do with them that will allow them to be better readers?
We can begin reading to them. That's the first thing.
Okay.
We can begin making reading a joyful experience for them, and we can make that part of our daily routine.
Okay.
So simply beginning with reading. So once again, we're doing the same things that I did. We're just doing it a little later. And now there's a natural window of opportunity that is birth to 5, where they will learn language more naturally. Now after that, a big part in our schools, a big problem is that we've waited too long. First grade is really too late to begin learning how to read. And so that's really an issue. Now, I've had experience teaching second graders that were non-readers using some of these methods. It did not work as quickly as it does with toddlers because they're still acquiring language and their brain is still growing in between birth and 5. 90% of growth takes place between those ages. And so it's important, the sooner the better. But if I had a 4-year-old that was struggling, I would start with daily reading to begin with. Secondly, I would teach them to pay attention to the words as I read. And now this will slow down fluency. If you use your finger under the words as you're reading books to them, that will slow down their fluency at first because your eyes can go much faster than your finger can.
Sure.
So, but at first we need to teach them that we read in English, we read left to right. And so we need to show them that as we read, and what they'll do.
So literally having your finger on the book as you're going across the words.
Yes, and what that will do is it'll automatically make them, it'll draw their attention to those words. Okay. So now those words begin to go in their mind, and they understand that those words you're speaking or reading to them aloud, that's where we're getting them from. Okay. So that is part of it. The other thing that we want to do is start with this method. Start with this method. Because it will enrich their vocabulary. Maybe they didn't know sea turtle, and there's many different things that they'll learn. So images, even picture books will help them.
Okay.
So we give them a broader background knowledge of worldly things, and then we also begin to teach them words that they can read, and they will feel victorious. A 4-year-old who's been struggling will feel victorious when they can grab it, when you can show them a word and they can read it, or when you can even play games. I have a free ebook that you can send all of your viewers to get a copy of, and in there's several games that can be played that are fun, interactive, and that get children involved in reading.